Sunrise Hostel. Works resume towards the new hotel at Caleta, expected to break ground early next year. 2 men are charged with stealing nearly £22,000 worth of goods from a Main Street shop. And the museum opens a new gallery dedicated to the famous Devil's Tower Neanderthal child. Good evening. The first former resident of the hostel at the Old Queen's Hotel has moved into the Sunrise Hostel. The extension to the building has been completed as phase 1 of an expansion and refurbishment project. Today, GBC were given a tour of the facilities by the Housing Minister.
This is Jackson, the first person to move into the Sunrise Hostel. The first phase is complete, with the extension now ready for residents of the hostel at the Queen's to move in. Housing Minister Pat Orfila was there as the keys were handed over. The Minister walked us through the rooms and amenities.
This is phase 1, which comprises of 49 rooms. I think there's about 10 showers. I mean, you go and visit the shower rooms, toilets. We've thought of the disability areas too. We have people who may need help. So we have disability toilets, we have disability showers. We have a room for a gentleman who is visually impaired. So we thought, let's give him a room near a kitchen, near the showers, so that, and with less furniture, so that he doesn't stumble. You know, we want to make sure that everybody who's going to come over is going to feel that they have been well looked after and valued, because they are, and regardless what has been going on and all this mudslinging that we don't care, we do care. We care enough to produce this. And I think as you go along and you see what this government has got to offer for the residents of the Queen's Hotel, you really cannot fault this government on what we are producing.
For many, it will have been a long time coming, but Minister Orfila said she did not want to rush the process.
The building, I mean, if you're going to do something, do it right. Rushing through something and then looking back thinking we should have done that or we could have done that is not going to be in my books. I'd rather take longer but produce what has to be produced. I mean, I think it comes from teaching, no? That you don't rush through a book. You want to absorb it and then digest it and then deliver it. So I think we've delivered a very good product here.
Principal Housing Officer Gareth Flower was also on site and spoke to us about who got priority.
We've actually got people who are the permanents that we wanted to give sort of a priority to, because they are living in Gibraltar most of the time and working here. So obviously we wanted to give them a chance to get a better room than the people who are not here permanent, or people who just come to use the hostel as a hostel itself. So I think we've thought a lot about the move. We thought about convincing people to come, because there are other people who are using agendas or telling them wrong information to move on. I think when people have started looking what the final product is and what it entails, I think they've seen for themselves that it's a good move for them. I mean, comparing this to the Queen's Hotel now, there's no comparison, really.
For Jackson, he was impressed with his new living conditions.
Extremely relieved, extremely excited, extremely happy, and this has exceeded my expectation. I mean, I was told that they were going to modernize it. You know, I lived in the Sunrise before and I lived in the Queen's, but I was told it was going to be modernized. But seeing the kitchen, I mean, like this is like some Hollywood style stuff, you know, and then the room, really beautiful, yeah.
The rooms are kitted out with a bed, bedside table, mirror and wardrobe, and all rooms have fibre optic cable capacity. More people will be moving in the weeks to come. With phase 1 out of the way, focus now shifts on phase 2, which should take about 18 months.
Works on the new Caleta Hotel have restarted following the announcement of the treaty. Speaking on Viewpoint last night, Executive Director of the Caleta project, Franco Ostuni, said they expected to break ground early next year. Meanwhile, Ocean Village Director Ed Allison Wright said there remains a commitment to build a 150-room Marriott hotel in the Marina Bay car park, although the project is currently on hold. Both agreed that the growth in local Airbnbs was impacting hotel occupancy and called for greater monitoring and enforcement of the sector.
We got our consent for the 150-bed Marriott hotel. We're still waiting to have the site completely freed up. So some people might have noticed when they go past that the building next to us, which isn't ours, is being reclad due to the issues arising from Grenfell, making sure that they're completely safe. As a result, we can't have full access to our site at the moment. We've always been committed to do it, and the financial climate wasn't conducive to doing it, even when we had consent. And I remember saying that to the DPC. But we were committed to doing it, and we answered a call from government to do that. So it's not necessarily that, but it certainly doesn't help the situation. The other thing, which I'm sure we'll discuss at some point within this programme, is the situation around Airbnbs and the fact that when that's not controlled, it does present a challenge, I think, to investors or lenders, because they say, well, where's the cap on that? You know, how can you justify that there's demand for a hotel if you've got an endless supply of Airbnb rooms in Gibraltar?
Well, we are going to tackle that. That is a big topic. But before we do, can we get an update on what's happening with the Caleta Hotel? Am I right in saying that it seems to be a bit behind schedule?
It is. We are probably a year and a half behind what we were planning to be, and without taking too much time, the project is being effectively unleashed again by the announcement of the treaty. The financing model of the project was very much based on the residential, which will be built to the south of the new hotel. The financing was subject to the treaty. The treaty has only been announced in June. We still don't have the full details, but we know we have one. And June basically has unleashed the project, and a lot has been happening since then. As we speak, there is micropilot testing happening on site, and a full team that is working on it. So yeah, watch the space. Is happening, but we are behind.
Do you have any update on a potential delivery date?
Yeah, everything going well. We plan to go out to tender sometimes in September or October, so end of the summer, which means if everything goes to plan, we can actually be breaking ground by January or February next year. And for that, it can be anything between a 36 to a 48 month program. As I mentioned, there is a very big sector that Gibraltar has developed in the last few years with what you're referring to as Airbnb. Airbnb is only one of the operators. There are many out there. We in the industry, we call it peer-to-peer accommodation. Maybe the perception is different, but Gibraltar in the last 12 months has had 350 properties available on peer-to-peer platform every night of the year. Gibraltar is the jurisdiction with the most relaxed legislation in terms of peer-to-peer accommodation in Europe. But to answer your question is, it is a start. Is not being enforced 100%, and please understand, it is very, very difficult to enforce it because you are dealing with 350 potential different owners. So how do you monitor that? Government and Minister Santos is giving reassurance that they've actually engaged with an agency which is helping us in designing a system where obviously the legislation can be enforced and obviously performance can be monitored.
You can watch Viewpoint this Sunday at 9 and online at gbc.gi. A Royal Navy submarine has arrived in Gibraltar. HMS Anson is the fifth of the Navy's Astute-class nuclear-powered attack submarines. According to the Royal Navy, she represents the cutting edge of the United Kingdom's military capabilities. She is capable of carrying torpedoes and cruise missiles. Well, two men have appeared before the magistrate's court charged in connection with an alleged robbery that took place in Main Street. 19-year-old Gian Del Rio and 22-year-old Jaden Pito are accused of stealing property valued at around £21,900 in July last year. They were arrested and charged last night following an extensive RGP investigation. Secondary Magistrate Charles Bonfante sent the matter to the Supreme Court and adjourned it to the 30th of June. Well, motorists will now be able to turn north at the Holy Trinity Square. The road turning left from Linewall Road into Cathedral Square has been reopened. The displaced motorcycle parking on that lane has been reprovided in nearby areas.
Before this week, if you were driving south past the NatWest building and you wanted to turn around and head north, you had to go all the way to the Macintosh Hall, like so. Now imagine that little strip of road, that journey is repeated thousands of times every day by thousands of cars. In terms of traffic congestion and in terms of particulate matter, pollution, it really all does add up. And that's how long it's taken to get to this particular point, where you get to the Holy Trinity Cathedral and this roundabout park. So now the experience this week is a little bit different. Instead of going all the way to John Mackintosh Hall, you turn left here, like this. And if it feels a little bit weird, it's because you're driving on the left. How British of us. This change means that quite a few motorcycle parkings have been lost in that square, but they have been replaced. Here, 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 and here. Is it a like-for-like exchange? Well, no. Unfortunately, a grand total of 3 motorcycle parkings have been lost.
And Environment Minister John Cortes says by allowing more direct vehicle movements, unnecessary congestion and emissions are being reduced while making our road network more efficient. He says the government has ensured that alternative motorcycle parking is provided nearby, striking the right balance between accessibility and traffic management. Well, you're watching GBC News. Still to come, a new gallery at the museum celebrates the Neanderthal child known as Flint. The winners of this year's Spring Visual Arts competition are announced, and there's a fresh new look for Clubhouse Gibraltar's hospitality unit. We'll be back in a few minutes. Welcome back. A new gallery dedicated to Gibraltar's famous Devil's Tower Neanderthal child has opened at the National Museum. The Flint Gallery marks 100 years since the discovery of the child's remains and features a new image of him, what the museum describes as a new face of the Neanderthals. The remains of the Neanderthal child were discovered at Devil's Tower in 1926. A century later, the Gibraltar National Museum has opened a new gallery dedicated to Flint. At its centre is a new image of the 4-year-old, created by leading paleo artist Mauricio Atong, offering what the museum describes as a new face of the Neanderthals. For the museum's managing director, Geraldine Phillinson, the gallery is about changing how people see Neanderthals and placing Gibraltar at the centre of that story.
We had to celebrate it. After all, it was probably one of the first children's skulls of a Neanderthal that had been found. You look at a skull and we look at the bones and all the features of the bones, and it can become very dry and it becomes an object. But when you get a forensic artist who's as skilled as Mauricio Antón, who can almost bring him to life, he puts flesh on the child. The adult teeth are still impacted in his jawbone. So we know that he'd lost his milk teeth, but the adult teeth hadn't come through. So he's got the gap tooth in the picture. Yeah. So that all of a sudden it becomes a child, and we can all identify with that child. Somebody lost a child who was only 4 years old, and somebody mourned that child. And we are celebrating 100 years of having found their remains. Yeah. Seeing something like this will have, if you like, solidified the perception of Neanderthals as we see them today. But for a long time, Neanderthals were thought of as brutes. They were incapable of any kind of thought. And we now see that they even had the ability to convert a thought, which was an abstract thought, into a physical symbol that you can see, and that's the engraving that we found in Gorham's Cave. That we've come a long way with our idea of what Neanderthals were like.
What do you want people to take away with them after seeing the display?
You have to see it as a window into time. And museums, and certainly the Gibraltar Museum, is always evolving, is always changing. We always try and change the exhibits. You'll find that there are different things here to see, and we're evolving. And then interact with us, because we learn what the public are questioning, what the public are interested in, and then we adapt to it. This is not a static display. And at the end of the day, you know, we're the custodians of the collection, but this is Gibraltar's museum.
The opening also carries wider significance for Gibraltar's heritage sector. It comes 10 years after the Gorham Cave complex was inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List, and during a year of events marking the centenary of Flint's discovery. Minister for Heritage, Professor John Cortes, says the new gallery reflects both Gibraltar's responsibility to preserve its past and its continuing role in international Neanderthal research.
It really has raised our profile internationally. This kind of recognition Gibraltar always strives for. And in the whole world of heritage, Gibraltar is now well known internationally. And I think that reflects very, very well. And whenever we get experts coming over to see the work that the museum is doing, they always celebrate that. And we've had a lot of support around the world for the work that we're doing on heritage in Gibraltar.
And the new image of Flint will go on public display at tomorrow's Museum Open Day. The event runs from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. Well, Hannah Cavilla Latin is the overall winner of this year's Spring Visual Arts competition. She won the Ministry of Culture Award for her piece 005. A total of 90 entries were submitted by 50 artists, with international artist Javier Plata judging the painting, sculpture, photographic and video categories. Other categories included drawing, digital painting, sculpture, photography and video. There were also awards for the Best Gibraltar Theme and the Best Young Artist. A number of highly commended pieces were also awarded certificates. The exhibition at the Gustavo Bagariza's gallery is open until Friday, the 29th of May, and the full list of winners is available on our website. Well, Clubhouse's hospitality unit has been given a fresh new look following a major refurbishment supported by a number of sponsors. The former outdoor patio has now been enclosed to create a larger coffee shop area, providing more seating for the many users who meet there daily for coffee, lunch or simply to socialize. The expansion has also allowed for a bigger kitchen space, meaning two teams can now work side by side, creating more opportunities for Clubhouse users involved in running the cafeteria service. The project received a £7,000 contribution from the GBC Open Day Fund.
We want to invite everybody in Gibraltar to come and see what we do and the expansion of the kitchen. Now we have a coffee area where members can learn how to make coffees and breakfasts and sandwiches, and we have the tea as well. And then we have a big kitchen now, so we have two teams. We have more tables and chairs, so we can cater for more people, and the space is very bright, so we are very proud.
So it's an expansion because you were needing the extra space. So what sort of people are using the facilities daily?
Members on a daily basis. The members come to the hospitality unit to have lunch, to have breakfast, to have coffee and socialize, and as well to learn new skills and life skills. So people come here to cook, to clean, and to work together.
Very valuable in their development, of course. How can the community support that as well?
So many different type of support they can provide. They can provide us financially. They can provide us bringing donations for that charity shop. Food as well. We cook every day, homemade and healthy meals. So anything is always welcome.
And perhaps also support in the most basic form, just coming here, having a cup of coffee and talking to them?
Yeah, that could be amazing. And I think it's very important that the community come and see what we do. Most of the people in the community don't know what Clubhouse is about, and it's about social inclusion. Our members will be able to talk to them and the way that Clubhouse is helping them.
Now, everything costs a few pounds. How has this happened?
Yes, sponsors, always. We are very grateful that we have so many good sponsors there, supporting some professionals with pro bono services, some of them with construction works, others with furniture, other financially. So once again, has been a community project, and we are very grateful and very happy that we have so many people supporting Clubhouse.
And with sports, there's plenty in the local scene, including the fall of another giant in football. Netball takes to the streets and more. Robin Shepherd-Capurro has the latest.
Couple of new national records to celebrate. One in shot put. Earlier this week, 19-year-old Julian Turnock threw 12.34 metres at Lathbury Barracks. The previous record was set by Stanley Olivero in 1986. Kelvin Gomez is Gibraltar's only pro triathlete, and last weekend he also set a new national record. In 3 hours and 46 minutes, he finished 17th in a 70.3 Ironman held in Salou, just south of Barcelona. Having won the first leg last weekend, a win for Europa tomorrow would see them clinch the domestic futsal title and secure European football next season. It's a best-of-3 playoff final, but no team has represented Gibraltar more at the UEFA Champions League than Lynx, so this one could really go either way. Campion Park, the place to be tomorrow morning for a street netball takeover. All ages welcome, Gibraltar Netball the hosts, a chance to introduce the kids to a new sport perhaps. The GFA has announced 2 men's international friendlies next month. For the first time ever, Gibraltar will face the British Virgin Islands and the Cayman Islands, Europa Point the venue for both. Staying on the international front, referee Seth Gallia will officiate a friendly between the Republic of Ireland and Grenada tomorrow in Murcia. He'll be assisted by Michael Macias, Fausti Herrero and Tim Rioch. And some sad news as another one bites the dust. Manchester 62, one of Gibraltar's most historic football clubs, has failed to obtain a licence to be able to compete next season. Recent financial struggles has seen players and staff go unpaid for months and months, and now it seems likely they are set to suffer the same fate as Gibraltar United and Gibraltar Phoenix did back in 2019.
Well, that's all from the GBC News team for now. Don't forget, you can always catch up on our website and social media pages. Now, as the 3-day O2 Eco Festival gets underway, we leave you with these images from the Europa Pool Complex. Have a great weekend. Good night.